Before we start today, I just want to say a couple of things about the passing of a friend, Bob McNair. I just want to say on behalf of Dee and Jimmy Haslam and the entire Cleveland Browns organization, we want to offer our condolences to the Texans and the McNair family on the passing of Mr. McNair. We know it's been a tough week for the city of Houston. He loved football. He loved that city, and he loved his family. Cleveland fans know far too well what it's like for a city to lose an NFL team and then get one back. What Mr. McNair did for that community of Houston by bringing the NFL football team back to the region was very noble, and the people of that city greatly appreciate what he did. And the NFL will miss Mr. McNair. I was the head coach of the Bills when they came back to Houston, and I was on that staff and team that left Houston and had lived there for quite a while. And I had 2 children of my own that born there in Houston. That means a lot to them. And I'll get a chance to see them this weekend when they come back into town for the game down there where they grew up, part of their family. But it's never easy, but I wanted to make sure that the people of Houston and our city understood Mr. McNair will be missed. Questions?
Austin Corbett did not practice. Did he get hurt in the game?
Yeah, he got hurt in the game, and got stepped on. We're going through the evaluation process with that, and we'll see how it moves throughout the rest of the week.
So who works at center when JC and Austin don't practice?
Right now I'm trying to limit the reps with Bob Wiley, but we're moving other guys in there. Bob got a little fatigued today.
Do you have any sense of Corbett? It could be season ending, or?
Yeah, we're just going to take it day by day, and we'll see.
Greg, when Baker, you talked a little bit about Baker, what he said about you after the game, but then he goes on Instagram on Monday and has a comment about it and calls it fake. Do you talk to him about that? Does it bother you?
No, and as we talk about this right now is that that game's over. And again, if I did talk to him, that's between him and I, and that's it stays in house, and it's not something we discuss here. But that game's over, and now we're on to the Texans.
Discuss about the Instagram post, which just came after the game.
Yeah, and we're on to the Texans today.
You discussed, though, with your players, I mean, in this climate, with social media, with analysis.
It's never easy. And what we do is that we got to get ready to roll each and every week. And those are things that we've talked about before. We continue to talk about, but, we got to get on to the Texans.
Speaking of the Texans, does J.J. Watt and that defensive line keep you up at night?
It brings a smile to my face, and again, I think about the arguments that sometimes we were having about, how good a player he would have been, on other staff that, I really liked him coming out, some of the arguments we were having in the draft meetings about him, some of the arguments we were having in the draft meetings about Clowney, and those guys have risen up and played really well. And I think Romeo and that staff have done a good job on how they're utilizing those guys. And it's also good, you see JJ's brother in our division, and we thought a lot about him too when he was coming out and how we evaluated him and on how well he's playing. But good gene pool.
Hey, Greg, what have you learned as a head coach from that time in Buffalo to now?
And again, and I think I mentioned this last week, even from moving from Buffalo on throughout the rest and prior to that, when you're in charge of a position area, you're in charge of a unit, you're in charge of a department, you're the head coach of that area. And you learn each and every day when you're providing leadership for other people other than just yourself. I think the biggest things is having the opportunity to be around some really good people, since that time too. And you take a look and, how they handle situations. Sometimes you accept those things and say, that's a pretty good way of doing things. Other ways you say, you don't have to waste time thinking about that. That didn't work. So, there's less time searching and or over-analyzing things. You just got to be honest and understand what's really important to getting the guys ready to play and let them play on Sundays. Really do.
So are you different as a head coach now? Than
I think that I don't spend as much time thinking about things that are not really relative to the actual performance and practice. And I think this organization's really strong behind the scenes on having a ton of people doing a lot of things that, I had to help do when I was up there outside of just coaching. And I'm dedicated to coaching here, and that's what the head coach should do.
Greg, by the end of this season, you will have been in charge for 8 games. Can you ever go back to being a defensive coordinator?
I love what I do, and in all honesty, Tony, if I wasn't, head coach and defensive coordinator, I'd love to be a special teams coordinator again. I love that time there, and even the position coach part of it. And then when I went and helped Mike Munchak, being an associate or assistant head coach with him too. Leadership is what it is. You got to be able to handle the responsibilities they're asking you to do. But I really do love the aspect of having a chance to be in charge of whatever responsibility they give me. It's not just head coach. I enjoy the competition factor of competing at the NFL level.
In a long time, this team enters the month of December in a position to play some meaningful football games. So how do you help these guys navigate that aspect of it?
And again, this is another thing that we've talked about in here, and I hope that it becomes to be more realized, is that, you guys have asked about winning and the importance of preparation and stuff. The routine of doing it every day, the routine of winning every meeting, the routine of taking a look at clip after clip after clip of execution. And then those things become habit, and then hopefully Sundays become habit. And it's not a shock factor that you're doing the right things come Sunday because of how you've done things throughout the course of the week. I think the league is pretty evenly based now, even to the point when I first started many years ago, before free agency, when teams were extremely dominant maybe of keeping their players a lot longer. That with the even base is that you've got to go out there every single week and be on your top game. Any team can beat you. Any team can play. And our guys have done a very good job of realizing, of capturing the moment, capturing the meeting, changing from walkthrough attitude to practice attitude, and then from practice attitude to game attitude. And then the execution, each and every space has to be faster and better. Been pleased with them, and I thought today was another really good step.
You've seen Deshaun Watson grow from when you faced him last year, and just what kind of obstacles is he?
You can see the game's probably slowing down some for him, the pace of the game, and then moving from the style of play that he had in college to the style of play, that's in the NFL. I think Bill O'Brien and that group of guys have done a good job of doing some of the things that, you see us doing with Baker here too, with what they've done with him there. And then him battling through that injury, it shows you the toughness that he has. He'd already had one of those earlier in his career, and then coming off the ACL, and you can see that as the season has gone on, he's gotten more and more confident that everything's okay. When you start the year at it takes a while for you all of a sudden to get whacked, on the same leg or whatever, and get through it from a mental preparation and a speed and reaction preparation. He's a really gifted athlete. And you can tell that he's a very smart leader, and the guys really appreciate playing with him and for him. So I think he's grown quite a bit in a short amount of time.
Greg, he's literally not throwing as much the last 6 games and not running as much. So are they easier to defend?
They've been able to run the football, and, they've been able to minimize some of the stress that you do put on the quarterback position. And I think that they've done a very good job of coaching the game in a real complementary fashion to what was needed in the game. They've been playing dominant on defense in a lot of different areas. They've shortened the games in some areas there too. But he still has the ability at any point in time. He's still scrambling. He's still being able to extend plays. And he's got the big arm. When he extends the play's never dead. He'll find DeAndre someplace 100 yards down the field. And we've got to understand that even though he's extending the play, he has a big enough arm to go find him no matter how deep he is.
When a quarterback can run like that, whether or not it's designed or just, improvised, how demoralizing can that be for defense, and how different does your plan have to be
You have to
Okay.
plan for it. And when you say, yes, you have to plan for that. And there's enough mobile quarterbacks in the league. There's been enough more mobile quarterbacks in my career that we've had to plan for. So that style of play has to come into it, and you do need to be accountable to that. And when I say accountable to that, just go back to Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, even tons of other ones, in the divisions, the different divisions the guys have been on, is that it's almost like you're covering them as a man, and they're in coverage too, because they can extend. It just might be a pass play, but they're the one that's open, and you have to understand if they're the one that's open, do you got him covered? And it can be with 4 D linemen, it could be with an extra person here or there, but you do have to have a plan for that, and he forces you into that.
It's hard to admit this, but is it possible when you played him last year, it was like his 3rd or 4th start, did he surprise you?
Yeah. I thought he was, and that's a good question. Yes, I thought he was more relaxed than what I saw in film. And I thought, until you're on the field with them and you get that feel, that instinctive feel, you can see panic in guys' eyes, or you can see panic in their body and stuff, and never saw that. And he showed really quickly early on, that he belongs in the league and that he was belonging for his team. His team saw that too.
After the game, some of the players were talking about, this is not the same old Browns. We're not going to take some of this flack that we've taken, trash talking from, why are you talking? You're not, you're the Browns. Do you sense like a mood shift within the team maybe in the last few weeks?
I think it'd be better coming from them. It's no matter where I've been, it's been this way. And even when I've been here for the last year and a half, it's been that way in the area that I've been in, and in the rooms that I've been in. And we talk a lot and enjoy competing, and we enjoy competing in arguments. We enjoy competing in who has the last word, and that's all about the process. And it's been fun seeing it go back and forth between offense and defense, special teams, that kind of stuff too. That's been fun, but I think that'd be a good question to ask them.
You look at it this way, but is this game a really good way to judge how far this team has come in a year?
I would say that, again, every week's an interview, every week's an evaluation, and taking the next step. We're more concerned about us taking the next step, and in how we execute and how we continue to improve. So in that point of view, we're not worried. We're more concerned and or attentive to how we're doing, not the opponent.
What kind of test is this defense going to be for Mayfield? And I mean, obviously the offensive role, but you guys haven't given up 2 sacks, or you haven't given up any sacks in the last 2 games in this pass rush.
Been pretty good, yeah. And so we got our work cut out for us, and I think it'll be a good competition factor to see us take the next step on playing against some really good individual rushers in that respect. But I think schematically, Romeo does a very good job in what they ask him to do. And so, we've got our work cut out for us, yes.